don't say anything inflammatory about your clients today. That is Michelle, by the way. Michelle Gutenstein Hinz, everybody. Please welcome her. Maddie Reedy is here. I want to tell you a little bit about them. I'm going to sit down too. So, Michelle is a national level publicist. On the bottom of her email, she reps Elvis Costello, Joe Satriani, the Jeff Beck estate, and more. But her time in PR goes all the way back to 1990 when she was at Warner Brothers. Their stop at Elektra. Along the way, she's got Madding, PR, and Missing Piece Group, and her own Park Life Unlimited. And I'm pretty sure I saw her at the Grammys on Sunday. I think that's true.
That's true.
Okay. And I was looking back at her emails, and they go all the way back to 2014. It was a Missing Piece Group email. T-Pain was on a full court press compilation.
No, it's 2012 because I did the second guest for the music festival.
Oh, so we go even further back.
Check your emails.
Okay, yeah, that was. I must have deleted the rest of them. So, so everybody say hello to Michelle.
Hello.
And representing St. Pete tonight, right?
Sure.
Okay. If you go to No Club Stuff, you've seen Maddie. She's there for everything. She's approaching her first anniversary as the marketing and social media manager there at No Club. She focuses on indie bands, marketing strategy. She works directly with kind of emergent artists and live music here in the Southeast. Her career in PR goes pretty far back as well. She's worked at Found Sound Media. That was Nashville's first agency really focused on LGBTQ plus artists, women and artists of color. She's worked at How Public Relations. She's also worked on the other side of media as a correspondent for the USF Oracle, and she's a sound engineer. Is that correct?
That was my first ever job in high school, was being the sound engineer when they rented out our theater for dance competitions.
Is that Panther Productions?
Yes.
In Ohio, okay.
Panther Productions.
All right. Her experience really revolves around launch strategy, concert marketing, social media campaigns, press strategies. She helps out a ton with the Indie Night Live series, which regularly hosts pretty much sold out gigs across town, including here at Crowbar, correct? So today we're going to talk about music and marketing, you know, what we believe works, what might be outdated, and what people in the room could realistically be working on this year. I want to emphasize the words like might and things like that. I feel like with marketing and PR, there's a lot of rules to be broken and a lot of experiments to be had. So, you know, more than I think any other panel, don't take everything coming out of our mouths as gospel, right? Because there's a way. So at the end of this panel, hopefully you feel more empowered about your decisions about marketing. So let's jump right in here. First off, I'm really interested in the definition of this in both of your takes to see if they're much different from each other. So like, what is marketing? Imagine you're in that elevator doing the pitch, explaining to somebody what music marketing is, has no clue what you do, and how you convince bands that marketing matters. How do you do that? Michelle, start with you.
First off, can you guys hear me or do you want me to?
Mic, please.
Is this thing on? Okay. Hi. Well, first I would say I'm not in marketing. I am in publicity and media relations. And there's definitely a misconception because in some agencies they do overlap. We work in synergy. So what a publicist does is you help a client. It could be a musician, it could be a restaurant, it could be a spa, an airline. Help them figure out what their messaging is, help them effectively disperse that message to the public in a concise, clear way using various tools. And those can be press releases, in-person interviews, in-store events, media opportunities like parties, or even a panel like this. Any way you can get your message to the public directly. That's what publicity is. Marketing is more involves a payment, like advertising, or you're printing up stickers, or you're renting something. There's an exchange of money, and publicity is what's called an earned media. So if you're an artist on tour, you would reach out to someone like Ray and express interest in talking about your event to him to maybe get a story in the newspaper or appear on his radio show. That's more what publicity is. Did I miss anything?
No, it's great.
That was okay? Thank you.
Maddie, what do you think? How do you explain what you do to people when you go to family functions?
Well, Michelle said it very good with like differentiating publicity between marketing. Same as her. When I work with artists, I do publicity. I don't necessarily do marketing for artists. What I do is concert marketing for No Clubs Present shows. But when it comes to PR, kind of what I explain is with PR for artists, it's not always fun stuff, but to the public, it's all the fun stuff. The partnerships, the radio interviews, the red carpet interviews, preparing for that. It's working on the brand identity of the artist, and you really get to work on a ton of different things, and every client has different goals that they want to reach. So there's no uniform one-size-fits-all like PR strategy. It's the great thing about having a publicist is you have someone one-on-one working with you to kind of craft your brand identity and relay how you want to be as an artist to the public.
And Maddie, will stay with you. I want to drill down a little bit on that. If we move forward with the assumption that our audience generally has shorter attention spans and less disposable income now, how much does PR and marketing matter, in that realm?
I mean, I think today, authenticity is really the answer to, honestly, probably a lot of questions that you'll ask me up here tonight. I think no one has a ton of money in their pockets right now, and everyone's tired of seeing fake things from artists. I know for me personally, what I also look with in my own clients is I love someone who is being authentic to themselves. And even like right now, PR is writing about and posting about the causes which you believe in. It can be that. It can be the way that your Instagram feed looks. It can be the social media posts that you post. It's a lot of different things, especially everything's changing nowadays now that it's like we're living in a very modern world. But
and Michelle, so like thinking of like a Satriani that's been around for so long, when he is faced with the prospect of this audience that has that attention span and maybe doesn't have his audience might have money to buy tickets, but how much has he had to pivot, his strategy to remain out there from a publicity standpoint?
Well, many artists now, it's not just about your tour or your record. Like, they are diversifying, writing books, doing in-stores, comic books, soundtracks. So, everybody's hurting for a different angle. And I think someone like him is really exploring other ways to be artistic and be creative and connect with their audience, while at the same time, trying to find a new audience. And, it's parents bringing their kids, guitar players bringing their students. It's tough out there, I'm not gonna lie, it's really tough. When I started a while ago, each city had like 3 or 4 daily papers, and each paper had a pop writer, a jazz writer, a rock writer, and what else? Like an alternative writer, an opera writer. It was fantastic. So if someone like Satriani, who could be falling under more than one category, if one writer didn't have the space or time to take your call, well, you had 3 other writers to talk to, and then 3 other papers. And now, like, all these papers are gone. It's really heartbreaking. Like, just today, the Washington Post let go a third of their staff. Like, I mean, it's traumatic for me, for us, for the culture. And I lament that, there's not going to be criticism of these artists that will be for like a historic record. Like, for young people that maybe they love music so much, but they want to be a critic or a journalist. And in order to be effective at that, you have to have something to look back on, like previous tours or previous record reviews, and those things, they don't exist anymore. And a critical review doesn't necessarily have to be good, but now they have, I mean, you could speak to this, there's so little space, like, people feel like, well, if I'm just gonna crap on an album, why am I gonna give it space if I only have space for 2 or 3 record reviews? But I think it's vital also for people to know why something isn't, in their opinion, isn't good. I believe art is art. It's art. Making a judgment on it is unfair, but it's your opinion. You can say what you like, and you have to be able to back it up. And without the knowledge of what came before or the artist's purpose or point, I don't know how you can really do that.
I think you kind of answered the next question I'm about to ask Maddie about complementary things that you do outside of social media. So I would switch to Maddie here. You know, it does seem like the algorithm is like our overlord these days, and we think about it a lot, and we think about what text should I put on a video? How long does it need to be? This and that. It can be really overwhelming. So when you're talking to your partners or clients, how big of a role does like that social media thing play in it? And then maybe more importantly, what are things bands should be doing to complement that presence? And I think you kind of answered it with authenticity. But what do you have to do outside of social media, and how much space in someone's head should social media take?
Okay, so you're asking what I do outside of social media PR-wise?
Well, also, and like, what do you tell bands? Because some people you talk to them and they'll say, well, like, you just got to get your videos up. You know, you got to be on TikTok, and it's got to be this long, and you got to make sure that you say this or do that trend or this and that. Like, how much should that be part of a band's marketing strategy, part of their anxiety, part of their creative process?
Okay, yeah. So I will say with social media, it is very much, as I said before, like there's no one size fits all. I think with bands, what I tell them about social media is I'm here to help with social media ideas. I'm here to help with other things, but I personally never want an artist to be feeding into trends and stuff that they don't want to be a part of. I think one of the very most like important things an artist has is their brand identity. If you're not out here wanting to post day 1,000 of posting my song to TikTok and hoping it blow ups, like I personally think that's a little bit of lazy marketing. So as your publicist, I wouldn't say for you to post that. I would say for you to post whatever's authentic to you. If it's you explaining the lyrics in a song, if it's you and your band shotgunning before you go on. I think right now as a Gen Z girly, I am tired of the heavily curated like artist Instagrams where you can just tell their team runs the whole thing. I think like even a publication that we're talking about, like I think authenticity is in, and I don't want to see someone or an artist posting to a trend if I really don't think it fits their vibe. But kind of going off what you were saying with talking at the beginning, honestly, what I see as an issue, especially for Michelle works for some very high level people, and I'm out here, I like to think of myself as someone that can be a friend and an asset to smaller artists, especially as we were a small music community here in Tampa Bay, and sometimes I'm one of the first people that has really been in the music industry that they work with, and a lot of what I do with at the very beginning with new clients is just a lot of housekeeping. It's making sure my emails on their socials or website, it's getting their EPK in order, it's helping them strategize with social media, it's a lot of different things. And I will say, before we can get to all the fun things of, what brand partnerships do we want to do? What do we want this new album artwork to look like? It really does have to be a lot of housekeeping and creating media kits, creating EPKs, and just making sure that all the information needs to be there for people to professionally work with them, such as social media handles, emails and stuff is on your socials and websites.
And I'll stay with you here, kind of riffing off that social media angle. If you are posting on your own and you are being authentic and it gets to be your own thing and it's you, and we do control so much of the message from our social media channels. Michelle kind of hit on this, and I wonder if your answer is a little bit different. Why or is it still important for bands to get press on publications, blogs, and podcasts and whatnot? I had a band reached out the other day and they're like, hey, you haven't really written about us, and I checked back and it's true, they were kind of relegated to the also playing section, yet they're playing sold out shows here, and I thought about it, and the real reason was I just haven't seen them out at a show, but it seems like that band's doing okay in my head, because they're one of the biggest draws in the particular scene that they play in, yet they're still asking for press. So how important is it still to be in a blog or publication? What are bands telling you about that, and what do you tell bands?
I mean, everyone has their own goals. Sometimes I'm working with a client and they really want to they haven't had much press before. They want to secure some press and articles about like a new album or something. Or there's other people where they might need more help with their branding overall. And I still think I think it's important to be there for your community. Maybe going off kind of what you're saying is, I think what I've seen a lot of days with small artists is like, I don't know, I see a lot of people kind of acting like social media is the only way that they're gonna blow up. And I think that's entirely not true. And especially with the people that I like to work with, I like community-based people. I like people that are showing up. I'll see them at my shows, I'll see them at Crowbar shows, I'll see them around. And I think that's anyone that wants to work in the music industry, everyone knows networking is probably one of the most number one important
Go to the shows that you want to play.
Yes, absolutely. And network with people. You never know who you're going to meet or who could introduce you to someone that you can work with. And I think it's a little hard to complain about things if you're not showing up and supporting other people.
And I'll ask you a different version of this question, Michelle. We're in the earned media section. You kind of hit on that before. Earned media that you get without paying for, which counts huge in a lot of ways. Can you talk about earned media and how that still plays out for artists, and how do you approach that from a PR standpoint, and how you think bands, maybe from the local level and all the way up, still kind of look at earned media?
Sure. What Manny touched on was great, especially about housekeeping. And I would definitely encourage young artists, new artists, even old artists, like the most important thing is to plan it out. Be ready, be organized. If you're putting out a record in July, don't start calling press in June. Have your bio ready. Have a great bio. That's your first step. Get somebody, it can be a friend, it could be you, it could be someone in your band. Write a bio. Make sure it's clear and concise, not too long. Don't use a lot of slang. Just stick to the point. And yes, you can use ChatGPT to help you. Ask your mom to read it. Someone who doesn't know anything about you, ask them to read it. See if it answers all the questions that, say, a journalist would want to know about you. Also have photos ready. Have a couple different photos. Have a download link at a Dropbox where anybody that might need your pictures can get them. Make sure they're clear and clean with a photo credit. A lot of times bands come to me at the very last minute because they didn't plan, and they're going out on tour in a month and they want us to line up interviews. It can be done, but it's going to cost you double. It's a lot of work if you're not planned ahead, if you're not having your materials, your assets organized. And using those tools are what will help you get local press. And if you want people to come to your shows, in market, out of market, they need to know you're coming, and they need to know in advance that you're coming. So really having a good, almost an editorial calendar, get yourself organized, and then you can also plan out your social media posts. Because once you and your band get in that van and hit the road, you think you'll have time. You will not have time. You're driving, you're sleeping, you're getting gas, you're eating crappy food, you're playing your gig, setting up, breaking down. There's not a lot, if any, free time. So that's why you want to front load your tour, your album release, even if you're just doing a single or a video release, just planning ahead. Don't paint yourself in a corner. You don't need to. I have so many clients who they're rushing to put out a single. Nobody needs your single on that date. We can push it back and take more time and really plan out a campaign, plan out a strategy. And that will help the journalists. or the bloggers, or the influencers. Give them time to live with your music, get a chance to be interested. We have to follow up. I mean, I must follow up at least 4 times with writers. It's really hard. Ray's very, very busy, and it's not just local Tampa publicists calling him about local Tampa bands. I call him about when Heart's coming to town, when Dave Mason is coming to town, when
I mentioned Dave Mason today, and Josh thought that he died.
No.
Yeah, no, but he was worried.
No. And so it's really hard. They don't have a lot of time. They have even less space and pages. So I forgot what my point was, but I did have. Just planning ahead, being organized. Local press is great. You get a story going, you get a buzz. You're like this band you were talking about. They're selling out, they're creating a buzz. You can build from that to then do national press. National press is really hard. I don't even know the words. Like, there used to be music, it's the same story. There used to be music every night of the week on the late night shows. Now it's 2 times a week. So you have, 10 major labels, 100 smaller labels, and then even more indie people all having great talent trying to get on television, and it's so hard. Morning TV used to have bands on all the time too. Now, it's really hard to find a band you haven't heard of, that your parents haven't heard of, playing on morning shows. And now they make the bands pay for it.
So that leads into my next question here. I know the Heart Launch Press site is here, and they have a great About section. It has a lot of great things about neutrality and how they love to write about non-headlining bands, but there's this big thing. It says no pay for play, just real coverage for artists. And if you're super old like me, then you remember payola on the radio and stuff like that. But Maddie, I wanted to ask you, how do you approach the conversation for your clients when it comes to, we're talking about earned media, but what about sponsored content and pay for play? Is that even real?
I get that all the time, and I won't do it.
I mean, it's the same with us,
even if it's $10, like, I'll buy an ad, but I don't want to sponsor. That's just.
Maddie, what do you think? Is there a time when it is appropriate to engage with a publication? If you're a band and say, I would like to do that sponsored content, I would like to do, and then obviously there's ads and stuff like that. What's your take there?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it all depends on your goals, how important this press is, and also how important the publication is. Because maybe there's 1 or 2 bigger publications that I've seen that are pay to play, but when working with artists, the pay to play that I've gotten is literally a website that looks like it's still in 1995, and which is before my time, and they were asking crazy money for that, and so we said hell no.
Okay, so it's maybe not as common as we think. I think you've kind of hit on this, and it's kind of more of a general question, but if you are looking to expand your reach and audience outside of the Bay Area, I think what I heard was have your assets together. So that means a high resolution press photo. It means big, make it downloadable, don't attach it to your email. There's a whole list of do's and don'ts that I think we'll do in a lightning round. Michelle, let me ask you this. When does a band know it is time to do national press? And what are some of the things that you notice of bands that are successful in their first national pushes? And maybe conversely, when does a band know they're not ready to do a national press?
That is a really hard question. I think mostly it's budget.
Okay.
It's hard. I mean, if you are like that band, selling out, creating a buzz, having people come to your show, playing the same club multiple nights to satisfy that demand for you, then you're ready to level up. A lot of times, I think bands maybe hire PR too early. If you don't have those assets and an organized story and a real message to get out there, I think pay your dues, spend some time here, make your mistakes in a smaller pond, and then learn from that and then level up. Because the competition is so insane. I have people that do reach out and they want to pay my fees, and I know I can't do it for them. I just can't make it happen yet.
Maddie, can you kind of add a little bit to that? You work a lot with Rona and the Indie Night folks. From the outside, at least from my perspective, you could be like, oh, shit, they're selling out this kind of show across the country. Are they a band that, it's time for national press and stuff like that? But they seem to be really okay with kind of growing into what they have going on. What do you tell a band like that? Like, when do you know that a band has elevated from, local stuff to maybe they want to consider hiring, a firm like Mad Ink or Missing Piece to do that?
If I've always tried to pitch nationally, usually like when I'm working with smaller artists, I have a handful of publications that I know are more mid-sized, and usually, obviously, I kind of look at it as just like a logistic thing. Like they have a lot more probability of getting covered by more of like a mid-tier publication, and usually I think any band should be super appreciative of any sort of writing or any sort of piece that they get from a journalist. And one thing I do when I work with bands is I really try to explain to them what I do and what I don't do as a publicist. And it's really important to me to explain to my clients how much of an accomplishment it is to get any sort of piece these days, especially with just the state journalism, music journalism is in here. Know that it is a huge compliment. And usually I will usually always try to I will still pitch to something national, but I'm gonna say it's probably improbable, but I always try to shoot for the stars because you never know what may happen.
Let's do a quick exercise here to kind of determine where we go with this. Just raise your hand for anything that applies to you. How many of you are on the artist side, band side? And then what about folks who want to work in PR or do work in PR? Okay. And then photographers, creatives, folks that would fulfill EPKs and stuff like that. Okay, it's like a super healthy mix. So we're trying to go through all these things. Maybe these bullets could be a little bit lightning, 30 seconds. What are the things that come to mind? I want to talk about pitching via email, the do's and don'ts of press releases and PR outreach. What are some of the biggest mistakes people make in PR emails?
The biggest mistake is misspellings, and I am super guilty of that. Spell check is your friend, use it. Have a second pair of eyes, broken links, sentences that don't go anywhere, bad formatting. Those are all the don'ts.
Okay. Any pop into your mind, Maddie?
Oh.
Like major big mistakes in PR emails?
Yes, a lot of people need to learn to write really well. That's one thing you need to do if you're a publicist, if you're just a regular band member trying to pitch your thing, make sure your writing is great and make sure your writing is concise with pitching. I don't like to, I'm not gonna call something like this is the newest country anthem or whatever. I'm not gonna say that. I will say what it is. I'll say this is an indie single and you can describe the song a little bit. I do not send paragraphs long pitches. I send as many links as possible, make it as easy to read, as quick for the journalist to read, and I think just brevity and making things concise and easy to read is the most important.
What must be in a pitch? Oh, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, and know who you're writing to. If you're a country artist, maybe don't send it to, Heavy Metal Weekly or whatever, Metal Edge. It seems really obvious, but some people do just spray and pray, which is just send one release to a mailing list that you bought. Also, do not buy mailing lists. It is a waste of time.
Okay. What must be in a pitch? 3 must.
The W's, who, what, where, when, why, what now. Always have a call to action, leveling up from a local to maybe a national, there has to be a reason why, and that's your action item. We're exploding from here, you need to click here and see our video, or check out our socials that are blowing up, or we're on these playlists. A reason. There has to be something newsworthy. Why are you reaching out to these people? You have to have a point, which I know I rambled, but that was the point.
Is there anything that must be in an email, Maddie, in the pitch? What has to be in there?
Depends on what we're pitching. If we're pitching a single or something, definitely I'll have links in there. When I first write the band's name, I'll link their probably biggest social media page. And then I also I link media kits in all my emails. It's just one link It's a Dropbox link. It'll have their press photo, their biography, might have a lyric sheet for the song. I would say like if you're pitching a song, or we'll just stick with song. Like include a little bit of describing info about the song. Act like if someone was writing a news story. What are the main biggest things they need to know about this?
But I will tell you, even if you do put all those things in your email, 8 times out of 10 the writer says, "Can you send me a link?"
Yeah, because we're stupid. We don't read that stuff.
Photo. Can you send me some photos?
And I will say, when Maddie's talking about assets, these photographers that are in here, most, if not all of them, know how to create a high resolution photo of you, put it in a Dropbox for you. You put that in your thing, and CL's kind of a oddball in a way. We still publish it on newsprint every week, and I make my decisions oftentimes of what photo I put at the top of a page based on what assets I have available. And I had great photos of a fantastic fiddler, Bronwyn. She's playing St. Pete. She played Molly Tuttle's band, and I have 8 great pictures of her, oriented vertically and horizontally, huge. So she's gonna have a page in the paper, right? Really, just because those were available for me. Here's one thing: what gets ignored instantly in a pitch email? I don't know.
I guess honestly, if it's too long,
I don't delete
I
anything.
think people's eyes glaze over. Like going back to the short attention span, really 3 short paragraphs and some links, really short, 3 sentences in a paragraph. Yeah. Oh, and bad subject lines. Your subject line is the most important thing. That is what people will open or not open your pitch. So you have to have something catchy, nothing basic, nothing over hyperbole either, the greatest country band ever is coming to town. Really descriptive, catchy, no emojis.
What about you, Maddie? Anything that just gets ignored?
I think in general it's just bad writing skills. If you're a journalist, I'm sure you can tell who's writing you that's a publicist and who's not a publicist. And if you're a band out there, an artist, and you're pitching your song, no one's expecting you to be exactly like a publicist,
sure.
But I do think you should look at some examples and really try to be as professional as possible.
I think reading, if you're able to get your hands on any criticism, Rolling Stone or even Consequence of Pitchfork, just learning how writers like to describe different genres, that'll really help you get an idea.
That's what we tell our writers: you have to read 80% more than you write. So let's talk about money real quick. Every band has to make those decisions. Last time we were here, we talked about touring, how to budget, look at the budget, say, yeah, I can do that, or look at the budget and say, no fucking way we can do that. How much should a band spend on its own marketing in-house? I talk about socials, flyers, and stuff like that. Is that an important conversation for us to have?
I don't deal with money, so
Right.
I am not helpful in this subject. I'm really sorry.
What about you, Maddie?
Every band is different. It's probably it's the most PR answer. There's no one size fits all.
How far is $100 going to get? If I'm a band and I say, hey, we made some extra money, we'd like to spend it on marketing online or wherever, where would you suggest?
I would spend it if you have a little bit of money to spend. I would do a meta ad to promote your show. Okay. If that's what your goal is. If you're trying to get more people to your show, do that. I especially because I deal with more earned media.
Right.
I don't deal with the pay stuff all the time, but especially unless you've really got a big budget, I would worry about other things than just strictly your social media numbers.
And Michelle, I don't know if you can answer this.
In
Michelle, what should a band be paying someone else to do publicity for them? Are you comfortable answering that? Sorry to put you on the spot on stage.
It's such a wide range, and it really depends. I've seen agencies bill $10 grand a month for a real full.
Talking like a full Saxon company type thing.
Yes.
It's
That's
probably even
cheap
more.
for them.
Right.
Yeah, that would be probably around what they would charge.
Okay.
And then independents can be more flexible because, it's a very emotional thing also. If somebody is in love with an artist, they'll make something work or they'll narrow the scope of what they're willing to do. I have a book coming up with an author I really love. He has no money. So rather than doing a full campaign for him, I'm strictly focusing on podcasts because it's been shown that that's really for authors of music biographies. It's been really successful for them. So I've just changed the campaign rather than doing a full court press, just focusing on that. So
Let's flip it. What if you want to make a career in marketing and PR? What is like the minimum you think you should take to work for a band?
that's
Even like
also
getting
really
started
hard
or-
because it's not a 9 to 5 job at all. Because you're their as a PR, you're their cheerleader, their psychiatrist, their mother, problem solver, sometimes tour manager. It's really hard. So it depends on how you can control the scope creep of work. And we had this conversation recently where you start off in an agreement and then they're like, oh wait, we got more gigs. Can you also work my shows in Philly and DC? Those go well. Oh, can you also, we're putting out another single. Can you just throw out a press release? And then it just creeps and creeps, and it can be really hard to sort of rein it back in or say, hey, I need you to throw me another grand or whatever.
That's where you can just like solve it from an agreement.
Yes,
Just a
up
piece
front,
of paper.
very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been so lucky, like all my work as an indie has been by referral, and I've only been burned once, and that was by a local band.
I like that we're not naming names. It's good. Nice people. We're getting low on time, but I want to ask, you kind of went, we shouldn't romanticize what like publicity and what it is and what it can turn into. I think Mish kind of hit on this, Maddie, but I think nowadays you have to have a lot of skills. If you were going to do what you're doing, what would you tell somebody that the most important skills were?
To do like
To
music
do,
PR?
to be you.
Oh, to be me?
Yeah.
I think, especially if you're working in PR, like I started off at USF at the Oracle. I started off as journalism and then realized I wanted to go over into PR. But I think if you need, as we said before, you need to be reading 80% more than you're writing. Read a lot, get any sort of exercise you can to write. Honestly, the biggest thing is like, there's a difference between if you just want to be a regular publicist, you need to be extremely good at writing. If you're going to be a music publicist, you also need vast music industry knowledge. So start as soon as possible. And I say if you're a young person, be willing to work for free or very low money for maybe your very first thing. Internships are always a thing, and sometimes you have to, it's hard these days. When I was in college, I had a very hard time finding internships, especially in Tampa, and sometimes you have to reach out to people and create your own opportunity.
And last question before we do like a quick lightning round. I'm wondering, what about recordings? I'm thinking not just songs, but videos. How successful can a band be without those assets, and how much time should they spend making those things? And in that vein, is there anything that is just a complete waste of time or effort anymore in the PR and marketing game?
As far as something that's a complete waste of time.
Besides buying mailing lists.
Yeah, I really don't have much, but like videos I think can be a really great tool if you can do something, clever and sincere or authentic. That has the potential. You can cut a video, use it for socials, little pieces of it. You can send it out to places like Diddy TV and RFD that run music videos. There's not a lot of opportunity for that, but I think, there's always a way to hustle. If you're a young band, you probably know someone with the, skills to make videos, or a film school student, or someone who wants, that's part of networking. Like, find your crew, someone who can help you take pictures, someone who can help write a storyboard for your music video, and then they then have your video to use in their portfolio. You have a video you can use to maybe send to clubs to try to get gigs, and we all help each other out.
Anything to add to that, Maddie, before we move to lightning round?
What Michelle said.
Okay. So these are one sentence, preferably one word or phrase. One thing bands should stop doing.
pointless social media posts.
I.e.
Day 93 of waiting for my song to blow up.
Okay. Anything to add to that, Michelle?
I don't know, I feel like face tattoos are over.
Oh, Jelly Roll! I thought that joke was funny on Sunday. You know, about him unlocking Teddy Swims' phone. One thing they should do this month, before the month is over, should then do it try.
Make a new fan. Yeah, get a new fan.
A real one or
A real one.
okay?
None of this buying.
None of the online.
It's
Okay.
so obvious.
Oh, they still do that.
Oh my god. I met this influencer. I didn't know.
Sorry if the influencers
This
are here.
influencer, it's Tampa influencer, she seemed great. Super aggressive, interesting, passionate, all the things. Wanted to work on a project with me. I wasn't familiar with her, so she gave me her handle. When I got home, I looked at her page. It was all AI slop. I was so
Oh, no.
disappointed. It was her walking her dogs in Dubai, in Paris, shopping. I'm like, I don't understand how we would work together. Like, nothing was about music, nothing was about live arts, nothing about books. Like, know your audience. So I guess one thing you should do is find a new fan, find your audience, and engage with them.
Give it up for Michelle. I want to save time for questions. Michelle, Maddie, Michelle, thank you so much. But we're going to stay up here. We're not leaving. And a big round of applause for Vicky Huddy from No Club. I don't know who you are. But thank you for putting these panels together. Oh yeah, can we get a spotlight over there? No, Vicky's awesome. So thank you for doing this. And again, I wanted to say 40 years of No Clubs is a huge deal. They have a book out. I think they're taking pre-orders on a second pressing, and it's a really great year to love No Clubs. So.
Come see our art show at the factory.
That's right. It's a great show.
Open till February 28th.
Carter's photos are in there. It's really good. So let's do some Q&A. We're going to do 15, 20 minutes. I think there's a microphone we can walk around. It's right there. Oh, so you're going to have to come up. Or take it back somewhere, I think. Okay, so you're coming up there. You're going to tell us your name, maybe your band if you want. So go ahead and raise your hand, and I guess we'll call you up for questions. Clay. Hi, Oki, by the way.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, as I was listening, so I work at a bar called Independent. We do I pretty much do all the booking, and we book a lot of local artists that are, the biggest artists we book might be Matt Woods or Loris Vidal. Awesome, amazing people. We don't have a high budget, and we don't have a capacity to where we can charge a cover or a budget to where we can charge a cover, because we don't want to shut out our locals. Is there any sort of advice that you give to a venue such as us that would resonate and help us kind of ensure that the masses know, hey, there's free music going on right now. It is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I think connecting with your local media, which you probably do like that. So Tampa, Creative Loafing, maybe Eventbrite. Honestly, I go on there, sometimes it's a Sunday, I got nothing going on, let's see what festivals are happening. It's a really easy way for free events and covered events. Also maybe connect with other local businesses in the area, so if they wanted to do some kind of co-promotes, if someone doing a new, I don't know, a hot dog or a veggie sausage or something, and they can do a tasting. I think event marketing is so great to get people into clubs.
Hot dogs outside, by the way.
They're delicious. I had one.
What'd you say to Clay?
And I think you have good ideas going on. I would definitely say posting on social media is going to be your friend. Definitely you try to use, we all know the algorithm is a little crazy, but it can't hurt to use hyper local hashtags like hashtag St. Pete, hashtag Tampa, use that. You can create Facebook events and, as Michelle said, Eventbrite events.
And also encourage people that are coming to your club to take pictures there. If you're doing a free hot dog night, you have some kind of banner or something, cute girls take their picture and then share it, hashtag blah blah, and then they get $1 off their cocktail or whatever.
And I would add that, you know, in the same way that bands kind of go to the shows that they want to play, you know, you guys have a great jazz series. You have free music every Sunday, pretty much. And it's like, you know, I know that Bob Seymour, who's on MNF now, has a jazz calendar that he does. Creative Loafing, we have a front-end calendar that our readers see, and it's free to submit an event. We have 4 people in there every week, 4 days a week approving events, and that's free stuff. Free publicity, and I will say I see a lot of your videos in my feed, so obviously the video thing works.
Sounds like you need a publicist.
He is the publicist.
All right, we can definitely talk. I am open to that. I wouldn't mind one more question if possible.
Is everybody gonna hate Clay if he asks another question?
Absolutely.
Just throw it up. Okay. All right, Clay, what's up?
Since we don't have a big budget, do you have a way to express to bands that, like, hey, we really want to have you, but since we don't charge a cover, we don't want to alienate our regulars, this is what we have to offer? I think I kind of have it down, like I have a formatted email that I send to everyone, whether it's my brother, my sister, or best friend, or someone I've never met. A formatted email that I'm just like, everyone gets, no matter who you are, everyone gets this, that says, here's our sound specs, they're not great, we're not a venue, we are a local bar, neighborhood restaurant that also serves beer, but we also like to have live music once a week. So like, here's a little Fender Passport series that works. I guess what I'm trying to say is, how do I present an offer to a band that is not offensive when I know that it could be possibly taken as offensive?
I don't know. I don't think people would be offended, and especially, do you only do music a particular night a week, or are you flexible? Like, say someone's having a nice paying gig in St. Pete one night, but then they could come here the next night. You know what I mean?
It does vary. So we do have musicians that are like that, where they'll play with their full band somewhere else in Tampa or St. Pete, and then they'll come over and do a solo thing at our spot. And it's people we've worked with for years that kind of understand that, like, I know I'm going to bring a solo actively here because I'll be able to take that cut and it'll be fine. It's typically every Sunday that we have live independent musicians, and in the copy that we send everyone is, before we can send them the confirmation email, is we want independent music, we want original music. We're not really looking for cover bands. We appreciate them fully, but that's not really what we're looking for at our spot.
That sounds awesome. It's funny, I just connected with a club in Bermuda Springs, and they do live sessions. It's called Sugar Bush.
Sugar
And-
Shack.
Sugar Shack?
Sugar Shack.
Sugar Shack.
Yeah, oh my God, they look so great. I had no idea. And so, like, someone else on my team found them. They were like, oh, we need to pick. So maybe doing something similar to what they're doing, where you shoot their performances and then the band gets it. So they're getting an opportunity to play, then they're getting some content to use as well. Win-win for both of you. You get the content, they get the content. You can put it on your socials. And then you can get like a film student from USF to shoot it. And then it's in their portfolio.
I like the film student part of it, because we do have a company that we work with that does film a lot of our stuff, and not a lot of our stuff. They film a lot of videos for us. They work with us and they come out for larger events, but it's costly to have everything filmed, and we do have live music every Sunday. So to be able to add that in and say, hey, your entire set's gonna be filmed and we'll give it to you, that's gonna cost us a lot to
their
where.
entire set,
Well,
but
yeah.
nobody wants to see that.
But even still, having someone come out
Just like
and
a
film
couple,
just for a
couple
little bit
songs, yeah.
and then cut it is not free.
Yeah.
And even at a minimal cost, it's still not cheap when our budget for music is not astounding. Like
Or maybe see if something like, I don't know, WMNF might want to underwrite a Sunday music series and broadcast a song or two. Yeah, I think you have to get a little more creative and think about, you're doing these bands not a favor, but like it goes both ways. How can you guys all help each other? And I think it's fantastic that you're doing live music at a bar. We need more of that. We need more clubs, more places, because how are even our next generation of musicians and drunkards gonna go on if there's no place for them to
You need
go?
a place to learn.
Yeah, I mean, and they're saying like the clubs are really, I mean, they're really hurting. Like even discos are hurting. all kinds of venues. So we all want to see you succeed. You succeed, bands succeed, the neighborhood succeed. It just, the ripples go on. So yeah, let's talk.
Let's get another question. Anybody have questions? Caitlin.
Thanks for kicking me off, Fred.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Trying to be like good, but.
So this kind of goes into what Clay was talking about a little bit. So for my background, I'm a photographer. I'm with Creative Loafing. I'm also with No Club. So I have a good, cool, neat understanding of how press behind the scenes kind of work because I get to see how those interactions happen. And I'm working with an artist. I am a photographer, and I'm kind of starting to take on that a little bit of like the publicist PR role because I have an understanding of how it works. And my question actually kind of falls into street teams because we had a street team going, and it was really strong at the beginning, and we're losing momentum. And what is your suggestion for like buy-in with street teams? Are street teams even proven to be beneficial? Like what things work and what things have been proven not to work on that end?
Maddie, anything to say to that?
Yeah, with street teams, what do they get in return for being on the street team?
Okay. Well, I know we have a promo system that's used the wrong word. I'm sorry, a point system.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on how many things they posted, depending on how many posters they posted, if they brought somebody along to a show with them, they got so many points and they got some kind of free merch from that.
Okay, that
so
sounds good.
That's like the system we have right now, but it seems like things are kind of falling apart.
Usually, like what I've dealt with is having people go up. It's to promote a show, is to put out a show flyer, and then they get on the guest list for doing that. That's kind of like that's the only forte of street teaming I've done. I would just say if you're struggling with getting people to join, just try to think of maybe extra ways that it could be valuable. What could you provide to the member aside from merch that would make sense for you guys? Yeah.
And we used to have a big street team at Creative Loafing, and I don't know what the approach is going to be under the new ownership, but I know they would come out and help with events, but then we'd have something kind of separate for them on another day, right? I mean, if you're on a street team, you're really invested in it, and I think you want to feel like you really matter, and you do matter, and it's cool to kind of get together and just like bitch and commiserate together one day when you're not working, you know? Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
More questions? Yes.
My name's Rob. I'm the drummer and outdoor show of Tattered Saints. And my question for you is, kind of having been going through this now for many, many years, as I'm old as hell, how do you rise above the noise if you're going to be posting on social media and if you're going to be advertising out to people? What makes a band really stick out? Because I think what we're really struggling with these days is waking people up and getting them broken from the trance of the everyday life that they're going through and getting them out of their routine and making them interested in something. How do you grab somebody's attention in that aspect?
Brand identity. I feel like that's one of the biggest things, it takes so long for an artist to develop, and if there was a guaranteed way that we could get someone to blow up, then I probably wouldn't be here.
Right.
But I think once, we saw Dochi from Tampa, I think when I think of her, I exactly know her. I can visualize her as a person. I know the outfit she's gonna wear. I don't know what she'd probably post on social media. I think having a really strong brand identity is part of that. Is people are going to you're going to be more memorable to them. They're going to remember you. And I think just working on brand identity, it's so much more than just imagery or like type of artist you want to be. It's like the type of causes you support, kind of what you post about. There's so many different things that we could delve into here. But I think if you're struggling with that, maybe just take a look back and see what maybe could we improve on here? What could we change about posting on this or something? But I think focusing on brand identity when you're not trying to pay more money or work on budget, I think that's the one internal thing that might be able to help you out a bit.
That makes sense, thank you. Yeah, because I'm thinking about that too. It's you're mentioning hashtags and stuff earlier. We don't want to clutter the the social media with the same thing. So
Right.
from what I'm understanding from you is not just having a brand identity, but having that identity first before you actually start diving into it. Like, who are you? What is your music? Not just what is your genre, but what is your shtick, so to say, that's going to make you attractive to others and attract people in as well.
Yeah, it's like falling in love. Like, why does that happen? It's that X factor. It's that ephemeral thing. It's hard to describe, but if you're doing the same thing over and over and it's not working, you might want to take a pause and just figure out, okay, why isn't this connecting? Maybe I need to get more real, more raw, more brutal, more intimate. Or maybe you need to be like Doshi and put on something crazy and like take it to the next level. You know, I don't know her whole story, but I know when I saw her on Stephen Colbert, so she was already on her way. That performance was shocking. Shocking in its originality, in her style, in her professionalism, the dancing, the singing, the costume, just on a whole nother level. And I think that's why she is where she is. She was able to really stand out from the noise. Like, there's a million girls that are beautiful that can rap and sing and R&B and dance, but the way she put her flavor on it was so unique and so special that you couldn't help but be captivated by her. Even, you know, and that's kind of what you're searching for, that lightning in the bottle. That's only you. You're the only you. So you have it, you just have to find it.
And I think sometimes like a blog like ours has done your band a disfavor. I remember just being obsessed with Altorcia and the Tattered Saints because I thought you reminded me of Springsteen one day and I wrote about it, but then sometimes you get pigeonholed into sounding like something, and that's like the worst thing as an artist. So I know that from a publication standpoint, I'm like totally cool with getting an email that says, hey man, could you stop like referring to us as that? Like, I don't think you're hearing this the way I'm hearing it. And here's why, like, you know, maybe I'm the critic or whatever, but it's like, it's not really like that. It's a lot more of an open communication. Because I always feel bad about maybe only getting to a blog post twice or 3 times a year, and you kind of being tied to that in the SEO realm and stuff like that. So.
Cool.
And one last thing I'll give you is that when it comes to social media posting, I get it if artists feel like it is a chore. I 100% understand that. And the thing is, I don't discredit that. I think the biggest thing you need to work on is how can I post and have it feel authentic to me.
And if you're feeling really down on social media, I watched a Wired interview with Zoran, and he talked about social media in a way that was so positive and uplifting, like it really shook me out of like any kind of negative feelings I had about it. So, yeah.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Any more questions? Yes. Hello, what's your name?
Hi. I'm Ava Erie. I'm a local pop artist trying to get some gigs, so anybody with venues, Clay, what's his name?
Clay Parkinson.
Clay, I've got to talk to you later. But you say okay. I got you. My question is, I have been saving some funds to be able to push my band out, and I'm kind of wondering how I should be using those to best benefit myself. So I have been putting a lot of money into getting at least 3 singles out. I do have a few already on Spotify and whatnot. Do you guys think I should be saving those funds for later and focusing on getting these gigs and getting the social media content via the gig? Because like, I'm not a huge fan. I don't feel authentic when I'm posting. It's not me. I'm my most authentic self when I'm on stage, and that's what I would like to share. But I've been blessed enough to be able to save a good chunk, and I want to make sure I'm not throwing it down the drain.
I'll say this from a publication standpoint. Yeah, like if I see you on social not having a good time, I'm not gonna love that. But if I catch a clip of you on your social playing your instrument,
and I'm like having
feeling
like
the best person that you are, that like you don't want to fucking die today because you're having so much fun, like
literally, yeah, okay.
And like I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna keep listening to the song. I'm gonna find the full version of the song either on YouTube or on Bandcamp, and then I'm gonna try to find out when you're playing. Maybe you're playing the indie on a Sunday night and it's free, and then I can have a chance to share that with our readers. That's what I would say to you.
I would say, how are you just in general, like with management? Do you have a manager?
I don't. It's been very hard to pitch myself since I haven't done any live gigs. I have a band, and I actually was going to pivot and use some of those funds to get the band a good recording somewhere, like I think it's called Ace Studios or
Sweet E.
Sweet E,
In
yes. That way I can add it to my EPK, and I'm doing all this by myself too, like playing the businesswoman and then being the face of my band as well. So like maybe should I be putting those funds that I've saved towards getting a good video to help me get more gigs and be able to, I don't know. I'm like at such a weird spot because I have tons of original like music and at least 3 of them are in production and I have a few that are out. So I'm
I thought you were
like
going to say I
weird.
have tons of money.
No, I wish. Don't we all? No, but I do have a good. I do have a good chunk that I've worked
That's awesome.
over the couple years
Shows
for
it.
this, so I don't want to like fuck it up and spend it the wrong way.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a really cool use of your time and money. First, make a big plan. Figure out when you want to release what you want to release. And I would do gigs at Clay's joint, videotape those, put those on your social. Because you're going to be having a good time. You're going to look smoking hot. You're going to sound great. And then that way, that'll turn people onto your music. And then that'll send them to your, hopefully your Spotify if you have all that stuff organized and on there. Because I think to just throw money on the social media when you don't have gigs and you don't have your music, like, what's the point?
Exactly.
Like, you have to know what your mission is. And that's why really like sit down with just like a paper and a pencil and chart your course. Figure out where do you want to go and then how to get there. But I think gigging, shooting those gigs, maybe put a little money in recording, but then save some money so you can do ads or playlisting. Playlisting is probably really important for new artists on SoundCloud and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. So I'm kind of in the right
You
direction
kind of have the
already.
idea.
I have the idea to run with. Give it a beat.
I see the work ethic there, and one thing I did want to bring up today is and especially since you do have that money, I personally I don't necessarily work with clients unless they have someone in the band that's kind of acting as a manager or has a manager, just because I feel of it as a tiers, first you're an artist, then you have a manager, then you get the publicist. I don't do bookings. I'm not gonna book a show for you. There's things that we do and don't do as a publicist, and as much as I don't want you to waste your money, and I want to be as valuable as possible, and I feel at the very beginning, finding a really good manager, and someone that can guide you with just booking and getting shows, that's probably going to be one of the first steps, rather than just trying to reach out to have a publicist get you stories.
Yeah, we had a writer, Kyla Fields. She went on the road with They Hate Change as their manager, drove them around, and I think that was formative for both of them. Kyla learned a lot of stuff, and They Hate Change went on to be They Hate Change. Great record, and they're on all the great blogs, doing a lot of great things. So.
Hell yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, guys.
Yep.
That actually cleared up a lot. I appreciate you all.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes. Probably have Vicky, time for one more after this? Okay. Alright, we'll get you next.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Nettie. I own a small promotions firm. I'm a licensed talent agent. I do booking and PR and some publicity as an extension of all that, managing. And really, the big question is, most artists need to make a living, right? They're not going to get famous. They need to make a living. And what I've observed post-COVID is it's very difficult to make a living. And really the question is, how do we effectively draw people out of their living room, away from their devices, where they're looking at the artists via social media, and they come out and they experience it? Because that's where it is, right? Experiencing that as an energetic give and take, right? That's the scene. And that should be the place where the artists are making the money, the majority of artists, because that's where the majority of them are existing. And so the question is, what's the most effective tools? I think, Tom, you're suffering from it, right? The venues are suffering, the artists are suffering, and how do we draw them out? How do we get them to show up? And let me just add a little bit to that. and not as a tribute band covering Tom Petty, and, right? But as an original artist who also throws in some fantastic covers of the most beloved songs that we all want to sing along with and feel the feels, right? Like, how do we draw them out to the authentic show that makes a living for the real artist?
That's a great question. I think the phones, the COVID, all that's really made us so retrograde in being social and connecting. And I was at the most incredible show Saturday night. I was at the Troubadour for this Neil Young tribute show. It was a fundraiser, but it was like Molly Tuttle, Rhiannon Giddens, all of the Milk Carton Kids. I mean, all these great artists. And it was just amazing, that feeling when the lights go down and the band lights up, and just, it was fantastic. And just getting younger people who maybe haven't been to clubs yet, haven't been to shows, haven't been to music festivals, get them off their sofas and in these clubs. I mean, I think they do a great job here having all age shows, Sunday shows. I don't know what else we can do. I feel like it almost goes back to education, because the arts have been cut so much from education, and everybody's just pushed to learn coding or have a job that makes a ton of money. In the arts, you can't make a living in the arts. It's hard to make a living in the arts, but you can be a music teacher, you can write scores for commercials. Music therapy, there's so many things you can do with music. It's so important. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I think there's a couple things we can do to try to boost attendance at shows and stuff. I think starting off, depending on whatever genre or type of show you're doing, it's really great to know your audience. Where are these people going to be buying coffee? Where are they buying records? Where are they going? Maybe you can partner up with that company and do a ticket giveaway. Maybe you can ask them to have a flyer there. Maybe you can partner with a club at Tampa or USF and do a ticket giveaway that way, or invite people to come. I think really finding places where you can reach your audience and your audience's community, that's going to be another good way to promote.
Yeah, like my son, he's 6, but he goes to the entomology club at USF, and I guarantee if you told him about like an anime convention, that you would get all 25. But like to your point, I think sometimes we get so obsessed with pulling people away from their phone as if we have to coerce them out. And Michelle's right, like the pandemic has allowed us, those of us who'd like to stay in. And I don't fault people, because I know sometimes it's just hard to get out of your house. And I know for a lot of people in here, it's just hard to get out. And there's a lot of anxiety attached to that. So if you feel more comfortable at home, but to build on what Maddie was saying, you know, we do this in Google Analytics a lot and retargeting and stuff like that. We think that we can profile somebody based on a pixel that follows them around the internet. But really, we can find out about a lot of the people, we can find out a lot about them because they're at our show already. And we ask them, how did you get here? Do you have a friend that's kind of like you? You think you'd want to bring them next time? Here's a ticket. Next time you buy a ticket to our show, it's 2 for 1. Just bring a friend, right? So we don't have to pull people away from their phones if that's where they want to be. That's just my opinion. But I think we can see the people who are in front of us and say, how can I make it so that all the people that are like you can see that we're doing like a good thing, you know?
And like GMF, they do programs where kids under 12 get to come for free. If you donate a used instrument, you get a free ticket. So, I mean, there's ways maybe even for Clay to get creative, do some kind of fundraiser that maybe people are interested in, like, raise money for an animal shelter or donate food. And people who maybe don't know the band that's playing, but they want to be part of that good community feeling will come out. But yeah, just get creative. Come up with your craziest ideas. I think those kind of promotions, cross promotions, maybe a neighbor bakes a certain kind of cake and they want to, I think thinking out of the box, surprising people, that will also bring people into your venues.
And our last question belongs to you, my friend.
Excellent. Good evening. I'm so sorry.
No, come on up.
How are you? May I say my place is here?
Cool, right?
I'll put it there.
Yeah. Okay.
My name is this is low.
That's a low mic.
My name is Dr. Douglas, and I've got a question. I'm a day walker. I'm a lawyer by day. Don't boo me all at once, guys. But how do we connect the night and day endeavor? We had our George Edgecombe Bar Association monthly meeting, the black lawyers cobbled together, and we all thought about where do we find our good musical whites? Where do we, all jokes aside, collaborate collectively to make sure that those of us who want to put a local band in an opening of an event, or more importantly, an office mixer, because there's so many things that are going on here in Tampa, and so much money that's being slushed around that a lot of us don't know where to find people that all we have is one question: do they have any insurance? It's the only question anybody ever wants to know. All jokes aside, the person in the room that has an email, please give it to me, and can we get a fax list as well? Because a lot of people love it, and I remember, I've spent too much time here. I'll be 40 sooner than I want to admit. But I grew up going, yeah, thank you. But I grew up coming here and looking at music and wanting to follow my dreams, which was just being a musician, being a poet, but everyone's illiterate these days, and we live in America, so we don't invest in music and the arts. So I went to law school because a pretty girl with a blindfold says I can talk to her if I get fired. Anyway, long story short, she got it.
Yeah,
There we go. Are you infiltrating? How do we kind of make sure that all of us are becoming disciples of music? So when we have the beautiful 6-year-olds going to schools and going to USF, that all of us are talking about music collectively, so we can funnel the names of the bands and the people that are here. Because Tom can't lift the world on his own shoulders, but even Atlas had to shout.
Fund the arts. Vote with your
There you
wallet.
go. Vote with your wallet. There we go. Vote. I'll take my long-winded question off air.
A lot of the times when we talk about the arts,
We talk about the fine arts,
these
yeah.
rooms get left out of it. They don't get funded. Nonprofits get arts funding, and rooms like this do not. So, it's just super important that when people talk about the arts, they understand they're inclusive of these indie rooms around the country that are going out of business, and they're communal spaces. I did want to touch quickly on the last question that you had brought up. I think it's even bigger than that, because when you look at the pandemic, rooms like this were the first ones to be said that they were unsafe. You spend an entire year being told that these safe spaces that make up all of our communities around the country are the most unsafe places where you're going to get sick, there's going to be a problem, crime happens. It debilitates our entire industry from the bottom up. And so we need to change that narrative. We need to fight like hell to make sure that people understand that these are the safest places in our communities, and this is where the art truly happens. And it's not being done effectively, and it's super important.
Yeah, I think speak explicitly about the children. Yeah, do you want to add to that? It's hard to go after Tom. No, but to Tom's point, I think a lot of times we hold our tongues because we're afraid to sound stupid or too enthusiastic about something, but if it is that important, then say it how it is and how it feels inside of you. And then also, I love a new trend to do more parties in the daytime when you guys are having your lawyers meeting. Like, why aren't you walking into a party after the conference wraps immediately? Like, who says the DJ party has to start at 10? Let's start it at 6 so I can go to bed by 10. I think that's all the time we have for questions. I want to remind you guys, this is our second one. We're so happy to have all these people in here. So give yourselves a round of applause. You guys are all the bands and artists and people that make this stuff happen. All of us kind of grew up around here, and it's changing really fast, and nobody knows what's next. But it doesn't happen without you. And we'll be back here at a date to be determined, probably April. I'm thinking we're going to talk about kind of agency stuff and stuff like that.
Legal and distro.
Okay, legal. So I know Randy Ojeda will be here. He's a music lawyer and distribution. So I'm sure some fun people will probably be here. Talk about how to spend your money and make sure your distribution and stuff like that. This is really great. Thank you all so much. We're gonna hang out here. How long can we hang out here to network? Tom? When are we getting kicked out?
I don't know.
Okay. So
Last person leaves.
when Tom starts doing this with his lips, you gotta go. By the way, can we wish Tom a happy birthday? happy birthday to the Soul Prairie, Tom, and thank you for having this venue. And thank you, Justin, for running sound. We didn't get to talk about it, but man, you want to be friends with the sound guy because he's the guy who gives you the best recording to go with your video. So, all right, go hang out, have fun. When Tom kicks you out, leave.
Didn't work.